Coming off a spectacular championship run, the Boston Celtics took the core of their dynasty and fractured it. They traded their homegrown star, Jaylen Brown, for an aging Paul George. On the surface, exchanging a player hitting his prime for a 34-year-old veteran defies traditional basketball logic. The immediate public reaction settled on two theories. Either the front office was terrified of a toxic locker room returning to a secondary role once Jayson Tatum was healthy, or Boston's ownership simply refused to pay the massive financial cost to keep their title team together. Brad Stevens pulled the trigger for a different reason entirely. This front office decision prioritized future optionality over immediate financial savings, acting early to avoid the roster-building gridlock that eventually hits teams with multiple high-priced veteran stars. Analyzing this transaction requires looking past the roster for the upcoming season. The Celtics are indexing their success against a specific financial pivot point in 2028. This graphic illustrates the NBA's second apron, a strict payroll threshold built into the latest collective bargaining agreement. Cross that red line, and the system paralyzes a front office's ability to move players. The draft penalties are severe. If you stay over the apron, the league freezes your first-round draft pick 7 years out and automatically drops them to the 30th slot in the draft. Operationally, a lockdown team is completely banned from combining player salaries and trades, and they face the complete loss of the mid-level exception, erasing their ability to sign impact veterans from the buyout market. We've already seen the consequences. The Denver Nuggets and Milwaukee Bucks chose to hold their championship course together under these rules, only to watch their benches be gutted by these exact restrictions. In the past, wealthy owners could just pay a massive luxury tax bill to keep a team together. Today, the second apron imposes a systematic front office lockdown that no amount of money can bypass. The mechanics of the new collective bargaining agreement steer teams toward a specific roster structure: one superstar, one co-star, and a supporting cast of low-cost depth. If a team is going to accept the roster-gutting penalties of the second apron, executives believe the primary star must be a Tier 1 player. Jayson Tatum fits this profile exactly, a top 3, multi-time MVP candidate who guarantees a championship floor. Jaylen Brown is an elite top 20 talent in the league. However, under strict front office evaluations, he sits in the Tier 2 category. He is an incredible secondary option, but he is not the primary engine of the system. When a team commits to 2 Supermax contracts, each worth 35% of the cap, the math becomes unforgiving. These 2 slices consume 70% of the budget, leaving a razor-thin margin, forcing the team to sign minimum salary players. Committing Supermax money to a Tier 2 star creates a direct trade-off. You secure the player, but you inevitably destroy the championship-caliber bench depth required to support him. Boston was racing against a specific deadline. On July 26th, Brown became eligible for an extension his camp would expect, a deal reaching roughly $70 million for a single season. If the Celtics delayed the trade until he reached his final expiring year, his trade value would have plummeted, giving acquiring teams all the leverage. Swapping him for Paul George allowed the Celtics to maintain their title window. George makes a similar salary this year and provides 41% three-point spacing that fits Boston's system without the need for a massive long-term commitment. The strategic key is the NBA's over 38 rule. Because Paul George is 36 years old, this structural rule removes the mechanical incentive or expectation for the Celtics to offer him a long-term contract extension. By acting now, the Celtics swapped an escalating, mandatory long-term commitment for a fixed, expiring asset. By the start of the 2028 offseason, the Celtics will have reached their target. They will open the summer with a clean operational slate. At that point, Paul George's contract will have completely evaporated from the organization's books. This move successfully dodged the $250 million-plus commitment attached to Jaylen Brown's projected extension. Avoiding that massive future salary allowed Boston to pay their elite middle-class role players, like Peyton Pritchard, who is now playing on a projected 3-year extension. Because they avoided the second apron's restrictions early, their draft capital remains unfrozen, and they hold the highly valuable, unprotected 2028 Clippers first-round pick. This 2028 landscape contrasts sharply with the Oklahoma City Thunder. While they are winning now on cheap rookie contracts, players like Chet Holmgren will eventually demand maximum extensions, forcing the Thunder into the same gridlock Boston just bypassed. Sustaining the title window in the modern NBA depends on balancing elite talent with the mechanical freedom to adjust the roster. By moving Brown early, Boston secured a future defined by cold, mathematical optionality.